Right, in this little video tutorial I'm going to show you how to do long division. And I really don't want you to panic about long division. Actually, I'd love it if I could change your whole view on it completely. Long division, I think, is perhaps the best and easiest way for you to do division if you haven't got access to a calculator. You have to think about this in maths. Generally, if methods are around after hundreds and hundreds of years, it's because they're really good. Okay, so let's get ready to have a go at this. Right, before we get started, I want to check that you can do these same four things over and over again. You've got to remember that you're doing these four things in the same order, one after the other. The first thing, and it shouldn't be a surprise, we're going to do some division. After all, this is long division. But then, strangely, I'm going to want you to do some multiplication. And after you've done some multiplication, you need to do some subtraction, and then I'll have to admit I made this word up really when I was thinking about how to explain this. The last thing I want you to do is this thing I'm going to call scoot, and basically we're going to do divide times take away scoot, divide times take away scoot, divide times take away scoot, and then you'll be pleased to know that at some point you'll be able to identify an opportunity for you to stop. Something perhaps is going to happen that will make you realise the divide times take away scoot, divide times take away scoot doesn't need to continue, and we'll have answered the questions. Here's the questions here. I'm going to do a couple of them and I'll leave some for you to do, and then we'll see if you've mastered long division. Okay, let me just remind you of the four things that we need to do over and over again then. So to begin with, it's a division. That's a funny looking divide sign. Then after we've done our division, I'm going to want you to do a multiplication. After we've done the multiplication, it's a subtraction. And after we've done subtraction, the very last thing was this thing I was calling scoot. Okay, so let's have a go at doing one of those on these questions. And let's have a look. This first question here then is 2,823 divided by 3. That's quite a big number. That's not something you'd normally see in your 3 times table, so that's perhaps why you might use a paper method such as this to help you answer this question. First thing then is a division. So we're going to be dividing by 3 throughout this particular question. Every time I do a division in this question, I'm dividing by 3. What's strange is whenever I do a multiplication in this question, it will also be multiplying by 3. Right, I'm going to do my division, and the answer to a division always goes along the top. First thing then is, can I fit the number 3 into 2? Does 3 go into 2? Can I easily divide 2 by 3 and get whole number answers? No, I can't, so I need to think of a different division. And the beauty of long division is I won't be thinking of massive big numbers. I can just increase the numbers slightly each time. So 3 doesn't fit into 2. But it does fit into 28, so I'll think about doing that division. So, how many times does 3 fit into 28? It fits in 9 times, and I've done a division. Next thing I need to do is my multiplication, and I do 9 multiplied by 3, which gets me 27. I put a tick next to the multiplication, so I've done that. Then I'm going to do a subtraction. So it's 28 take away 27, which is 1. And then after I've done my subtraction, I'm going to do my scoot. And by scoot, it means I bring down the next number and leave it next to where I had my answer to the subtraction. So there it is. Right, I've just completed a scoot, and so I go back up to the division. So I'm going to do another division, and this time again divided by 3, but it's the number 12 divided by 3. 3 fits into 12 4 times. So I've done another division. I'm now on a multiplication, so it's 4 multiplied by 3, which is 12. I'll put a tick there, and I'm doing a subtraction now. 12 take away 12 gets me 0. Now some people might think that this is the time you stop because we've arrived at 0, but it's not. The reason it's not is there's still a number here for me to scoot. So I have to get on with that scooting process. Scoot the number 3 down there, another tick. So back up to the top, division. Does 3 fit into 3? Yes, it does. It fits in once, another tick. What do you do when you do 1 times 3? Well, you get 3, and then a subtraction. 3 take away 3 is nothing, and at this point I can decide that I'm going to stop because there are no more numbers for me to scoot down here. So when you do 2823 divided by 3, the answer is 941. Okay, let's try another question then, and this time I'm going to try this question here. Now in this question I'm always going to be dividing by 8, I'm always going to be multiplying by 8. Some of you perhaps are not so comfortable with your 8 times table compared to your 3, so there's nothing wrong if you think it will help you with writing down some of the multiples of 8, find somewhere side of your page or whatever, and that will help you think about what you're doing. So there we go, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, 64, and then I'll go 72 and 80, and I'll probably leave it at that. And that might help me in some of this question when I'm trying to figure out how many times 8 fits into something. Right, so remember the process. Divide times take away scoot. Divide times take away scoot over and over and over again. So to begin with, it is a division, and I'll start that division. Does the number 8 fit into the number 7? Well, you can see from these multiples that all of the multiples of 8 are bigger than 7. So I'll move along and think, does 8 fit into 79? So if you go through these, you can see that 72 is smaller than 79 and 80 is just bigger. So this is the multiple that's the most useful to me. So I'll do that division. How many times does 8 fit into 79? It fits in 9 times. So there we go, I've done a division. Next up was a multiplication. So I'm going to do 9 times 8, and that is 72, and we can check that because we wrote it down there. The next is a subtraction, so 79 take away 72, and that's 7. So I've done my subtraction. Oh, I forgot my tick for my multiplication. It's really important that you do keep up with these because it's very easy to lose your place. So I've done my subtraction. The next thing would be to scoot the next number down, which was 8. Okay, so I've done the scoot. Back up to do a division, so this time it's does 8 fit into 78? And yes, it does, 9 times, and you can check again on the multiples. Look, there we go, 72 smaller than 78, 80 bigger than 78. So I've done my division. Move on to a multiplication. Remember, in this question, because we're dividing by 8, we're always multiplying by 8. 9 eighths are still 72, just like they were moments ago. And I tick off the fact I've done my multiplication. I'm going to do my subtraction now. So 78 take away 72 is 6. I've done my subtraction. Next thing then is a scoot, and I'll scoot the number 4 down. There we go, take the scoot, and it's back up again to doing the division. Does 8 fit into 64? Well, again, we go down here, and believe it or not, that says 64, and so it fits in 8 times. Done my division. Next up is the multiplication. What is 8 eighths? Well, it's 64. Done my multiplication. Next after that was a subtraction, so 64 take away 64 is 0. Done my subtraction, and now I would look to try and scoot, but we can see there's no more numbers, so I'm going to stop. So let's just clarify that. 7,984 divided by 8 is 998. Here's some more questions that you might want to have a look at. Perhaps a good idea would be to pause the video and then I'll put some answers on and we'll talk about how I got them. Okay, here we go. That's the first lot of this cycle completed. So I said, did 6 fit into 52? I found it 8 times. I did 8 times 6 and got 48. I had to do a subtraction. 52 take away 48 is 4, and the scoot made me bring that 0 down. Okay, I'm going to carry on and finish this. Just check at the end and see if you got it right too. Okay, so when you divide 5,202 by 6, you get 867. And you should see from the colours that I've used, my division answers always at the top. When I'm doing my multiplications, remember it's in this question, because it's divide by 6, it'll always be multiplied by 6. Always the last number I wrote multiplied by the 6. The green is always the multiplication answers. The blue is when I'm doing my subtractions, and the answers always appear under there. And you can see my scooting, which is where I just simply move the next numbers down. It's a really good idea to get yourself some extra practice of these. Have a go at these other questions, and then we'll see how you got on. So 5,984 divided by 8 is 748. Okay, I hope that you've been able to see this process is something you can easily learn. The same 4 things over and over again. And remember, the beauty is whenever you're answering these questions, you can see actually, for example, in this particular question, the biggest number I ever thought about while doing this was 52. And the biggest number in this one over here that I thought about was 64. And over here, the biggest number that I thought about in this question was the number 24. And they always compare favourably to that big long number that you're supposed to be trying to divide by. So long division is a process that anyone can master, I'm sure of it.